24th of January, Rabbi Furst, Avos.
Hey, good morning. Good morning.
My first.
Good morning.
Maury.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning, Roy. Good morning, May. Good morning, Lou. How's everyone today? Everyone staying dry and warm, everybody there?
Yeah. Yes.
How's everything? Okay, very good. Okay, good morning. This is Rabbi Shlomo Furst here in Yeshiva Tzalman Nafshi here in Yerushalayim, care of Zoom. We are in our first year in the morning learning Pierke Avos, the Maimer of Rabbi Akiva. We're in the middle of the parish, Pnei Shlomo. We will put that on the screen momentarily. And you may have a hard copy nearby you. Okay, right. Yeah, we want to review this this paragraph beginning with V'chein shlosh rishonim. If you look at the structure, let's just read. Who would like to read? Let's read the Maimer of Rabbi Akiva again to pay attention to the structure of the statement. Yeah.
I would like to read.
Okay, please. Okay, so let's look at the first paragraph. That's the actual Maimer of Rabbi Akiva. Let's pay attention to the structure of the things he's teaching us.
Okay, Rabbi Akiva Omer Schoch V'kolos Rosh Margalin La Erva. Rabbi Akiva says levity and lightheadedness accustom one to sexuality. Misoris siag l'Torah. The tradition is a fence for the Torah. Masros siag l'osher. The tithe or tithing is a fence for wealth. Nidarim siag farish the precious.
Right, the precious, right?
Vows are a fence for abstinence. Siag le chachma shtika. A fence for wisdom is silence.
Okay, very good. So if you notice, the first statement and the last statement are different from the three middle statements, right? The first statement was Skok V'chalas from Argilin Erva, which has nothing, there's no mention of a fence at all in that statement. And in the last statement, Precious or Sayeg L'chochma Shtika, the fence for wisdom is Shtika. So first comes the what's the mention of the fence, and then comes the thing which and the thing which is going to be protected by it, and then shtika, which is the fence, comes last. And the three middle things, right? Masora saig l'Torah and Maisra saig l'Oisher and Nadarim saig l'Precious. The fence was mentioned first, and then the thing it was fencing in, so to speak, protecting. So that's the point that we want to try and pay attention to, because that's what the Pnei Shlomo is saying, Shatin, based on that. So therefore, if you go to the paragraph, one of the middle paragraphs starting with V'lechein, right? V'lechein v'shlosha rishonim. Toiv so says a getter. You have that there?
Yes. V'lechein v'shlosha harishonim tov la'asos es hageder. Therefore,
at the beginning.
Pardon? I didn't hear you.
Finish the sentence. You stopped in the middle of the sentence.
Oh, okay. Hageder tehila.
That's tehila. That's the most important word here. With the first three things mentioned, it's tov it's good that you should put the getter, meaning that which is the protecting thing, at the beginning.
Right. Ulechein amar misoras siag l'Torah v'kulei, and therefore it says that the tradition is a fence for the Torah, etc. Aval, but bishtika, with silence, lo shayich lomar she'im rotzeh lehis chacham yargil im yemar shtika.
Es atzmo, himself.
Es atzmo. Okay, so but with silence, it's not appropriate to say that if he wants to become wise, he should accustom himself to silence. Ki b'shtikaso lo imloch chachma, because with silence he will not learn wisdom.
Right. He's got to be able to speak up. And if he wants to become wise, he's going to have to speak up.
That's a little surprising to me that it would say that, because you still need to be to be a good listener. In order to become wise, you need to be a good listener. And in order to be a good listener, you need to be good at being silent. So
Right.
even if you're a beginning student, you haven't become wise yet. You have to ask questions, but you also have to do a lot of listening. You have to ask a small number of questions and do a lot of listening. It would seem to me that that's not a violation of shtika, the fact that you're asking questions.
Well, speaker is in this context, is not simply a behavior. It's like it's a personality trait
Right.
that he's quiet, not because he's wanting to listen. Meaning, there's another Mishnah. Let's see, in the 5th parak, and we can jump and see it for a minute. The Mishnah. One second. One second. One second. Okay, that's in the 5th parak. If you want to look in the 5th parak, in my Mishnayos over here, it's the 9th. It's the 9th Mishnah. I'm not sure. It's Sheva. Starts Sheva divine begoilim b'shiva b'chacham. There are 7 things that are characteristic of a goyim, and 7 things which are characteristics of a sage.
Right, I see it.
Is that number 9 by you in the Mishnayos as well?
Yes.
Okay. Where did you find it? Roy, did you find it?
No, I'm not. I'm looking at the screen. But,
Should I read it?
Yeah, Barry, did you find it there?
No, is this in the regular Mishnayos?
Yes, Eric, Kamisi.
It's Pierke Avot.
Oh, I don't have Pirkei Avos. I lost it in transit when I made Aliyah. When I unpacked everything, I didn't have, I'm gonna have to go to the bookstore and get the Pirkei Avos.
oh, I didn't realize it was Pierke Avos. But what's the reference again? Sorry.
5:9.
Book 5, is it?
Yeah,
Chapter 5.
Chapter 5, yes.
Mishnah 9.
All right.
Where would it be in the, would it be in the regular Mishnayos?
Yeah, another, if you have a sitter, you have usually a sitter. Has it in by Shabbos Mincha. Many Siddurim printed by Shabbos Mincha.
Oh, okay, all right. Oh, that's what I've been skipping over. Okay.
Perek 4. Oh, Perek 5, Mishnah 9, right?
That's
Correct.
I see. Perek 5.
Eric 5, okay.
Oh, what am I doing? Oh, I'm getting all mixed up. Mishnah 18,
Go ahead, Luke.
Perek 1.
Should I just read the English or you want me to read the Hebrew also?
You can read the English, maybe,
Perik Chamishi,
right?
9, Tess.
9.
Yep.
7 traits between an uncultured person and a sage.
Okay, got it. Okay,
The sage does not speak before one who is greater than him in wisdom and in number of years or in number of disciples. He does not break into the speech of his colleagues. He is not quick to answer. He asks to the point and answers appropriately. He replies about the first things first and about the latter things after. About the things he has not heard, he says, I have not heard. He accepts the truth. The reverse is the sign of an uncultured person. These sayings are to be found in, ARN 37 and ARN B40, with additions and explanations bringing them up to 10 things.
That would be, that's Avos to Rabbi Nosson. That's Avos to Rabbi Nosson. So if you notice, all these things have to do with speech, when to talk and how to talk, right?
Right, but you notice that it says that he asks to the point and answers appropriately. So he is speaking.
Right. But you see, he's not quick to speak, right? Meaning he's thoughtful about his speech.
Right.
well, isn't there, can you qualify that when a person asks a question, he's either, when he, in front of his Rebbe, he's either asking a question because he doesn't understand something and he needs clarification. He's not getting the point. So he's asking. That's one type of asking, but the other type of asking could be that he understands what the Rebbe is saying, and he asks a question because he's deriving something from what the Rebbe said.
Right.
And he's asking to confirm whether his derivation is correct.
That's also true. Yeah, that's
That's
true.
also true, right?
But there's also a question that is really an answer, a question that a person asks because he disagrees with what is being said.
Yeah, that's also true. that he needs clarification, right?
Well, but that's a challenge in the form of a question. That's not a question where you're expecting to learn something. You're challenging. So you ask it in the form of a question. If what you said is true, then why does it say over here?
And
So
you see
you're
that
really not asking to learn. It's a challenge.
you see that with Tosfos and Rashi all the time. Tosfos is always asking on Rashi, or on the in the Gemuras. But here we're discussing this trait of shtika, meaning shtika as a policy, as like a personality trait. So that's detrimental because you see here the chacham, he has to speak, right? And on the other hand, by the goyim, he's not careful with his speech, right? He's quick to answer. He interrupts in the middle. He doesn't answer in the proper order. So you see his speech is unrefined. The fact that he's personally unrefined is reflected in his speech and his speech patterns. So shtika, as a personality trait, that's detrimental to learning. But in terms of preserve, we still don't know. We haven't gone into the details yet. That how is that saig l'chochma is shtika? We have to understand how is shtika a saig l'chochma? We didn't go into that point yet. As we get further on into the discussion, I think become more clear what the relationship is between being shasik, being quiet, and wisdom.
Isn't it? I'm getting the message from what we're learning is that the Talmidim who are learning from a Rebbe are necessarily very different personalities. Some are chatterboxes and some are hardly say 5 words a week. So if their personality traits are detrimental to their learning, they have to make corrections.
Right.
One has to speak more and the other has to speak less.
Correct. That's right.
So that's the message I'm getting from this. Not
Right.
that it's everybody should be quiet or everybody should participate and ask questions. It's everybody should make an assessment of what their chesorins are and make adjustments so that they can learn better.
Right.
I'm getting a different message,
I'm sure.
which is that a person should, when he's not yet a chacham, he should not be silent, because he won't learn if he's silent. But then once he becomes a chacham, he has to change and become silent.
So that we have to understand. Why should that be? Why should it be when a person's a chacham? You think a chacham has a lot to say. People, he can teach a lot of people. How is being silent going to help the chacham preserve his wisdom, his chachma? That we still have to we have to learn that. We haven't gone into that point yet.
But there is no such thing as you become a chacham and then you make it. You have to maintain your learning, and the only way you can maintain your learning, I think what Rebbe is saying is that you have to know when to ask and when to be quiet. But
Right.
You have to adjust. The Rebbe who became a Talmid Chacham has to make an assessment of being careful that he's not too quiet and he's not he's not talking too much. I remember somebody was once explaining to me the difference between, there were 2 big Talmid Chachamim who this person learned from, and he was telling me the difference. And he said to me, the difference between Rabbi A and Rabbi B is that Rabbi B knew when to be quiet.
Okay. Yeah, could be. We'll have to see. You have to hold on to that thought. And as we go on, we'll have to understand what the being quiet is instrumental in.
Yeah, he knew when to be quiet, the proper time to be quiet, not to just be, I'm always going to be quiet now that I'm a Talmid Chacham,
Right.
because he has to do, probably has to do a lot of talking, because he has to teach Talmidim.
Right.
He's probably, once he
Well-
becomes a Talmid Chacham and people are drawn to him, he's going to do more talking probably than he ever did in his life.
Yeah. Okay. That's right. He has to know how to say and what to say. That's right.
Right.
It's
He has
it's
to know
written
what,
about the riff,
Yeah.
that the riff, which is one of the major commentaries on the Gemara. It's the riff is on the back, in the back of every Gemara almost, as far as I know. They say about the riff, it's not so much what the riff wrote, but what he didn't write is the main thing you can learn from the riff. What he wrote is, you think, well, maybe it's just like a copy and paste of the Gemara. But if you realize the things that he's not saying, that'll really show you the true
Yeah.
insights that are available to be understood from what the riff has to offer.
one of the Rebbeim in the yeshiva told me a story that there were two big Talmidei Chachamim of the Talmud of the Vilna Gaon, the Talmud Muvchak,
Right,
right? The Volozhiner, right?
right.
So he had two Talmidim who were very close to him, and they eventually both wrote a sefer on a Masechta Gemara. One of them wrote his commentary on that Masechta was 500 pages. The other one,
You go ahead.
I think he's frozen.
Froze, it looks like. Sounded like a good story, too.
Weiter?
I guess, let's see. Barry, do you hear us? Okay, let's until he comes back, let's go back. Let's get to return. Okay, back to our document.
He's back.
oh yeah, well, anyway, I guess you didn't hear the end of that, but
No, we missed this half the story.
No.
so anyway, he wrote
Is
The
one
two Talmidim
wrote a commentary of 500 pages. One wrote a commentary
Right.
of 500 pages. What did the other one write?
and the other one wrote one of 100 pages. So they asked the Rebbe, you have two Talmidim who learned with you, and one wrote a commentary of 500 pages and the other of 100 pages, 106. What, how could he write 106 pages only? So the Rebbe said, because he knew what not to say.
Yeah, that's very important.
Very
Okay.
good.
All right, you can
So-
cut me off again.
Okay, let's continue on the fees. Yeah,
Adarabba,
go ahead.
Tzarich hu lish'ol b'Torah kol devar hakasha. On the contrary, he needs to ask questions in every difficult matter.
Right. Anything that's difficult when it comes to Torah, you're obligated to ask. You have to ask to clarify it.
So again, the implication being that when he becomes a chacham, he's not going to be asking difficult questions.
Well, that's actually part of how he's going to become a chacham, right? By asking those questions and getting answers.
But doesn't he have to keep asking, as Barry says, doesn't he have to keep asking those questions for his whole life?
Yeah, because he has a Rebbe. When you become a Talmid Chacham, you still have a Rebbe. You still have someone to go to. You know, it's an ongoing process. You still have someone to go to.
Right, so that's exactly his question, is he's trying to understand, right, how is shtika supposed to be a sayeg l'chachma, right? Because the way that a person becomes wise is by asking, is not being quiet. So that's his question. That's the adrabah. Adrabah is his question.
Oh, okay. So it's a question. All right.
Right.
V'kavar amru lo ha vishan lamad. And
Right. A person who's
embarrassed.
yeah, right.
Okay, so we've already said that he cannot be embarrassed to learn.
Right.
He's got to overcome his embarrassment and ask the question, admitting thereby that he doesn't know, and therefore subjecting himself to potential embarrassment. Got to do it anyway.
Right.
Ulechein amar siag lechachma shtika. And therefore, when it says that a wisdom is a fence for shtika, shtika is a fence for wisdom. Dehayinu kishehu chacham tov lo lishmor chachmaso. That it is when he is wise, it's good for him to guard his wisdom. V'ya'aseh le siag b'shtika, and to make for it a fence with silence, which seems to be what I was saying, that when he becomes a chacham, he needs to change. Shalo yirbei divarim, and to without many words.
Right. Which we still don't understand. He's not explaining that how that works exactly. Right. But that's something else. But to tell you the truth, I was thinking of maybe a whole nother pshat. I'm not sure, tell you the truth, if it fits into the diktuk too much. But after when we say here, when it says lo abayishin lomed, meaning a person who's a bayishin, a person who's reserved and embarrassed to speak up, he's not going to be able to learn, right? He's not going to be able to learn.
Right.
So maybe we could. I mean, just again, the diktuk. I'm not sure it's so meduyak in the diktuk. But when we say saeg l'chochma shtika, meaning a fence for chochma is shtika, meaning a fence will, in this case, is keeping you out. That which will keep you out of wisdom is shtika. By being quiet, you'll be removed from chochma.
Wow. That's a completely different way to look at it.
Right. Again, I don't know if it fits in with the diktuk too much. Right. I'm not so expert in diktuk to tell you if that's exactly what the diktuk means over here. But I could understand in terms of conceptually, right, based on this previous mention of the lo baishan lomed, meaning a person must speak up, he must talk, he must, in order to get wisdom, he must be verbally active and ask on everything in order to gain wisdom. And if he's not, his silence is going to distance himself. It'll prevent him, right, from achieving the wisdom.
But I think that it's both. It's a matter of balance. A person has to have the attribute of shtika in order to be able to learn, because he's got to listen.
Right. That's for sure. 100%. That's 100% sure.
So
Yeah.
if he's talking, even a significant percentage of the time, he's not listening. He's not hearing. One of the things that I see some people do sometimes is when the other person's talking, so the person is, instead of listening, he's constructing his argument. You can tell if when one person finishes speaking, the other person immediately has something to say, he doesn't have to stop and compose his thoughts, then you know that he wasn't listening. He was constructing his argument, and then immediately he blasts into it.
Right.
He's not getting, the argument is not getting anywhere because he's not listening, so he's going to just keep repeating his points.
Right.
Well,
Right.
it seems that what you're saying is that when the wiser a person becomes, the more silent he should become. But that's not necessarily true. The principle is that you have to know when to be silent and when to ask. And as far as a Talmid Chacham is concerned, did you ever ask a Talmid Chacham if he's a Talmid Chacham? And what do you think they would answer? They would say no, because a true Talmid Chacham doesn't think he's a Talmid Chacham. So he's always going to behave like he's not a Talmid Chacham. People recognize him, but he doesn't walk around saying, well, I'm a Talmid Chacham, so now I can say this or not say this. Not at all. There's an element of humility.
Barry, I'm not saying that he has to become silent when he's a Talmid Chacham. I'm actually saying the opposite of that. What I am saying is that if you read the words that we're reading, those words are saying that he needs to change. And I'm disagreeing with that.
Yeah, when a person becomes a Talmid Chacham, and what does that mean? That means usually that people are coming to him to learn from him. So naturally, if he's sitting in a base medrash and he's hearing a Talmid Chacham teach him, he has a certain modus operandi. But when he is truly a Talmid Chacham, and now he's sitting at the head of the base medrash, and people are looking to him, he has to make corrections in the way he conducts himself. But it's not automatic. Oh, Talmid Chacham, okay, be quiet. No, or talk more. It's not. There's no rule like that. The Talmid Chacham has to adjust himself to where he is in that particular situation. That's why he's a Talmid Chacham.
Well, we're going to go into this more as we go into the actual understanding of what this last statement means. Let's just finish up the next paragraph or two here.
Okay. And according to Hazal, is it this abbreviation?
According to this,
According to this, Yofi daiki lefaresh ma'asaros siag laosher. So according to this, it is good to be analytical and to explain this phrase. Tithes are a fence for wealth. Meha de osher bishvil shetit asher. Meha de aser bishvil shetit asher. From this, that tithing, a person tithes for the purpose of becoming wealthy. shemitechila yitain maaser v'akar kach yavo lo haosher. Initially, he gives tithe, and afterwards, wealth comes to him. V'gam yehei osher shamor. I'm sorry, oser shamor levalo letova al yedei hamaasros. And also, it is that the tithe guards the owner for good through the tithe. I'm not sure about this sentence. Through his wealth, maybe through his wealth.
that
Tithe.
right through the tithing, right? That there's such a phrase, oishes shomer lebaila, right? That the wealth is preserved for its owner. The wealth is preserved for its owner. Oishes shomer lebaila. The wealth is preserved for its owner. L'toiver, for his benefit. Ayidei, how is that? Through the maestros, through the tithing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Good.
Yeah. Thank you. Im ho'ilu lahasig osher mikol shekain sheyo ali sheyo ilu lehatzilu me avdus. Okay. So
Avdon.
la'avdon. So that if he is able to achieve wealth, even more so, he's enabled to be saved from loss.
Right, that if through tithing, through giving the tithes, or giving the maestros, he's able to achieve wealth, even more so, it will enable him to be saved from losses.
Aval mehach do ish es Kedeshav lo yi'u eno muchach ela she'im kavar yesh lo osher nishmar etzlo al yedei ha-ma'asros. So, but that which the verse, his holiness, his holy things, are no proof except that if he already has wealth, it is guarded for him through the tithe.
Right. This was one of his original questions from those who want to bring the pasuk of the ish as kadshav lo. From that pasuk, enemucha. It's not obvious. It's not provable that it would say it's from loss. Ela de'im kvar yesh lo osher, right? You can only concede that you can't really say that if he has wealth already, it will be preserved through the maestros. Right? That's the only thing that might be indicated from that pasuk. But does it indicate that it's going to be something which is going to enable him to become wealthy?
So in other words, he's saying there's no proof that tithing is going to bring him more holy things.
Right.
There's only the principle that if he has wealth, it will be preserved. So he's mixing this kadsho with osher. Those are synonymous in this case.
Well, that's that he had cited this pasuk previously, where was it? A few paragraphs above. And what he's doing now is arguing on that shot. Right?
He's arguing with so the pasuk says that a person's holy things will increase if he tithes, and he's arguing and saying that's not necessarily true.
Right. If you look at the last couple lines of that first paragraph, that it's about 4 paragraphs from the top. The first paragraph, the B'nai Shlomo over there, about 4 or 5 paragraphs from the top.
Right.
So it says there, the pasuk, right? Actually, V'im Kain, it says in the middle of that pasuk paragraph, V'im Kain Yosai Rui Lefarish Ma'aseh Sharach La'osher. If so, it was more proper to explain it that the Ma'aseh Sharach La'osher Al Pi the Darshin from that pasuk, which we say the pasuk Ve'ish Eskach Loi. That's what he was saying, according to the way Rashi and Rav Bartanur were explaining it, but they should have used this as a pasuk. And that's why he's proving down now what we just read now, that pasuk is not properly used as a definitive proof for what they wanted, for the fact that they were explaining. So that's why they didn't use that pasuk. He's basically saying that's why they didn't use this pasuk. Okay. Good. I think maybe we'll stop now. We've reached our time, I think. Good. Thank you, Lou, for the reading. And Roy, have a good afternoon. Hope to see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
And we'll be